We are very happy this evening that Swami Tadananda, President of Ramakrishna Mission Fiji, is with us. We are very happy that he has accepted our invitation and kindly agreed to deliver his speech this evening here. He delivered another lecture on harnessing spiritual power for mental well-being. He delivered this lecture this morning in Berkeley. It was appreciated by everyone. Wonderful lecture. This evening, he is going to speak on Vedanta principles for morality and ethics. One excellent characteristics of his speech is that he always tried to deliver talk from the practical point of view. What you are going to practice today, now. So this is a wonderful, accept what we actually want, not the theory, but the practice. Swami Tadananda joined the Ramakrishna order in 1991 at Bangalore Center. He served mainly in the field of education. In the Ramakrishna order, 3 very important educational centers he served. In Deoghar, Deoghar is one of the very prestigious residential school of Ramakrishna order in India. So he served in Deoghar. Then he served in Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture. And then he served in Hyderabad. Lots of people from Hyderabad are here. So he served in Hyderabad, the Institute of Language. Those who are familiar with our Hyderabad Center, they know it's a mega school of language. In Gold Park also, we have a language school. That's also a very big school, language. And Hyderabad also. Hyderabad is bigger than Gold Park. So it's a language school in Hyderabad. He served these 3 centers. Then he was posted at Vedanta Center of Sydney in 2006. After that, he came in Fiji in 2008. And currently, he is the president of Ramakrishna Mission Fiji. You know, it's when I read this, I was curious that generally here we say Vedanta Society, but in Fiji they call it Ramakrishna Order, Ramakrishna Mission Fiji. So he is engaged in promoting meditation among the youth, and he actually founded a Universal Meditation Center at Swami Vivekananda College, Fiji, and spreading of Vedanta, especially in the area of mental wellness using digital technology. So actually he is with that, and this evening is a very special day, you know. This evening is a Mother's Day. So, and coincidentally I was thinking that it is Mother's Day. Mother's Day, I don't know when it was started. But during this period, Sri Ramakrishna gave the highest prestige and gave the highest kind of respect to Mother. He worshipped Holy Mother as a goddess. So that's a kind of, I don't know, it is coincident that this time, Mother's Day, he did this, I don't know, he did it in 1863 probably. He worshipped Holy Mother as a 68 or like that. He passed away 1886. Before that he did, I think probably 83 or like that, he did this follower attending Kali Puja. So he worshipped Holy Mother as a goddess, like Mother Kali. So that's the highest respect he offered to Mother as a mother. So I was thinking that. However, this evening Swami Tadananda is going to deliver you the lecture Vedanta Principles for Morality and Ethics. Swami Tadananda, please.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Respected Swami Prasannatmanji Maharaj, dear friends and devotees, thank you Swamiji for the nice introduction and welcome. And I am very happy to be here in your midst, passing through San Francisco, Berkeley. Two of your fathers sent us around USA. This is my first trip, and in these 5 weeks I'll be going to, I think, 13 branches of the Vedanta Center. Not on a sightseeing tour or something, but on a special project which I will share in time. And so I was in Hollywood and all the sub-centers there. Then I came to Sacramento, San Francisco yesterday. I was there today. Came here, and then from here to St. Louis, New York, Providence, Boston, Toronto, Washington, Houston, Dallas, and then I returned to Fiji. So, and while I came to meet Swamiji and discuss certain ideas with him, he requested me to speak on some topic. So I thought I'll use something to illustrate. I took up this topic because while working on this particular project, I've come across some very, very powerful people, and they were asking me this question: what is the concept of dharma, morality and ethics? And of course he was thinking about from his own business perspective, how should he practice it, how it was taught in the ancient times. We're living in a different world, different society, different value system. What are the guidelines by which we can not simply believe and follow what was taught, but where we can rationally understand and the principles, but work out our own applications in this age and time. So today I will make an attempt, okay, and you tell me at the end how far I have been successful, to explain the rational basis of Vedanta. Okay. And I want this to be not a lecture. Okay, open it for discussions. I'll ask some questions, find out if somebody is sleeping there or how much you are following, and feel free to ask a question relevant to the topic so that we don't digress from the discussions. Okay, so let us make it interactive and fun. So, in every religion, every spiritual path, they emphasize morality and ethics as the foundation. If you read the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the first two steps, yama and niyama, do's and don'ts. That's the foundation. You cannot compromise and say, okay, we'll do away with that and build the tower of your spiritual life. It's like building a house without having a good foundation. And it's not something that you just do when you go to a temple or when somebody is watching you. It's something that you must do. They're called the Mahabharatas. You must do them all the time until your whole personality, your whole character is established on those foundations. Then on that you can lift yourself. So why are they so important? And if we don't understand, then sometimes we try to do away with that, and we then wonder, why are we not making any spiritual progress? I'm doing so much japa, I'm doing so much meditation and all those things, and nothing is happening. So we'll try to understand that. Everywhere it is told, be honest, be loving, be kind, be compassionate, be unselfish. Swamiji says, unselfishness is God, wonderful small definitions. Why are they making a big issue about it? Even Swami Vivekananda says, to be good, to do good, that's the whole of religion. I have never come across such a definition. Just two simple things. He was not joking, he must have understood there must be some deep meaning. How can somebody be just to be good and do good and you are religious? So what's the explanation behind that? Why it's so important? We'll try to dive into this and try to see how Vedanta can explain us. I've lost the screen there. So help us in that regard. So let's start with understanding or enlarging our conception of ourselves and our conception of the reality. In the beautiful book Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yatishwaranda, if you have read, good. If you have not read, read it. Okay, Swamiji traveled around Europe and America and he's written that beautiful book, very simple English, meant for the Western audience, explained very nicely, and if you go through that repeatedly, you'll find 80-90% of your understanding that you require will get clarified through that itself. So there he says, our conception of God depends on our conception of ourselves. Okay, so those who have a very materialistic physical conception of God, then their God is a physical being somewhere out there. As they practice spiritual disciplines and purify their minds, then they understand that they are not only a physical being or human being, they are something else, a mind and a consciousness, and correspondingly their conception of God will change. And ultimately, when one can reach to a plane of consciousness, then your conception of God is the Almighty Brahman. So, as we evolve, our conception of God also evolves. And we want to, in these presentations, explore that relationship. So, what we do, we take the help of the biggest, greatest scientists the world has provided, and this is not Einstein and Newton. They explored the outside world, the material world. The best scientists explore the inner world. Vidyanam Adhyatma Vidya. Of all the sciences, the science of self-knowledge is the greatest. And the laboratory was their own mind. And they developed this wonderful telescope or microscope, whatever you call, focused their mind, developed the power of concentration, but directed it within and peeled layer after layer of their experience, and they went beyond the body, beyond the prana, beyond the mind, beyond the intellect, and came face to face something which was pure consciousness. They experienced it. And when they came down to the physical plane, not everyone comes down, these are the world teachers, the incarnations of God, they come. They tried in their best way to explain to us in a language which is not really suitable, not designed to speak about spiritual topics, because with the human language you talk about this material world, the conventional world. Here they are trying to talk about some transcendental experience, so they use parables and stories and all those type of things and try to give us a hint about something sublime, wonderful up there. Not up there in the sense physically in space, deep inside us. So they say, then we try to visualize in Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna sitting in his room in the midst of all devotees, having some spiritual discussion, and because his mind was so tuned to the super conscious, he goes into samadhi. People look at him, he's become totally still, eyes are not blinking, breath has stopped, and there's a beautiful smile on his face as if he's experiencing some inner great joy and all that. Then he comes down and heaves a great sigh, and then he begins to talk. What he says, what does he see? What he's experienced? And he says, I experienced, in the sense, my Divine Mother has become the 24 cosmic principles and all living beings. Throughout the Gospel you'll come across that sentence again and again and again. That what appears to us as this world of name and forms and plants and animals and all those things, that is only a superficial view when we perceive or read this reality through our five sense organs. And because we are born in this, we live in this, we die in this, we think this is the only reading of it. But in his case, he has developed this wonderful technology, so the inner technology by which he transforms his consciousness to another level, and what happens? This gross world disappears. In its place appears something else, and that reality, that cosmic power which is vibrating in every being. He calls that the Divine Mother. And he says, it is she which is the highest common factor inside all of us. And it is she which is the consciousness inside all of us. And we are conscious on account of her consciousness. Okay. That truth is not available to us in our experience every day. And that's what sages and saints try to bring to us. So we have to have some faith that they're not taking us for a ride. They definitely have some experience. And they also are trying to tell us that just don't believe. Hinduism is not about subscribing to some faith and some stories and all those things. It is about realizing. Okay, and if you are going to want to proclaim to be a Hindu really, then you should be always trying to make that realization. And then they say, if he takes his mind beyond even that relative world of names and forms, even the Divine Mother, then he says there's an ocean of pure consciousness, that's Brahman, and we all are in that. Now where is that Brahman? When he has that experience, he doesn't disappear in somewhere in the clouds and has an experience and comes down. He's sitting there, right, and then. So imagine even if in Dakshineshwar in the midst of, in this experience, and he says, I just saw that the world disappeared, and the Divine Mother appeared in all these forms, and that also disappeared, and there was this ocean of consciousness. So in one sense, that reality is here and now. In another sense, it is not available to us because we are locked down in this gross plane. What they are telling is, there is a science of spirituality, by which the same mind with which we are perceiving the external world, functioning through the five sense organs, the same mind can be transformed, purified, and it begins to function at another level. And it can be even purified further, where this spiritual reality that is there, that can become available to us as a direct experience. Our conception of ourselves will change, our experience of the world will change. And in that high level, where the transcendental experience is there, they say this is literally out of this world. It is infinite existence, infinite knowledge, infinite bliss, infinite purity, infinite beauty, infinite power, infinite goodness, you name it. That is your best conception of what all the qualities that you can think. Multiply by infinity, put that in a basket, superimpose on any aspect of God would be your conception of God. You can call him Shiva, Vishnu, Divine Mother or Kali. The choice is yours, the label you give is yours, but the reality is one and the same. And then they come back and tell to us that the meaning and purpose of life is to have that experience. Don't compromise and settle in for this world of small tidbits that you can get in this life. This will disappear when you die. Your money will get demonetized. Nothing will remain there. No value to you. You can't take that. But use this life, have that purpose to acquire something that cannot be taken from you. Actually, it is always yours. We have just forgotten that. Now you are going to remove that ignorance, remove the covering, and realize that you are the king, the heir of the greatest kingdom that is there. That's why Christ says the kingdom of heaven is within. And he says the way to do it is, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna says, Patanjali Yoga Sutra says, Bhagavad Gita says, all scripture says, Chitta Shuddhi, purification of the mind, Shuddha Man, pure mind, Shuddha Buddhi, pure intellect, Shuddha Atma, pure self, are one and the same thing. We all have this mind, the tool that is there. Whether that mental energy is dissipated through sense enjoyments at this gross level, or you can restrain that, don't fritter away that energy, conserve that power, but sublimate it through sadhana, japa and meditation and service, and that rises to another higher level, and that higher mind is then able to experience. So, by reading the scriptures and teachings of these spiritual souls, at least we have a conceptual idea that something beyond is there. The more you think, and if you have good samskaras, it will resonate with your being, and you will have that deep, strong conviction, and that will impel you to make some changes in your lifestyle, to dedicate a certain amount of time and energy for that spiritual pursuit. But if it's not there, then you say, this world is all that it is, make hay while the sun shines, enjoy as much as possible, by hook or by crook, and all those things happen. But if you aim for something high, then they say, if you want to build your spiritual life, the foundations are your moral and ethical principle. So we will try to understand why that is important. When somebody says Satyameva Jayate, truth only triumphs. And if somebody comes, your own son or daughter comes and says, I don't believe that. When I look around, those who take the other course, who cheat, who are corrupt, who practice falsehood, they are the ones who are having a great time. And here I am trying to be honest in every aspect. I lose out on promotion, I lose out on this and I lose out that. How can that be victory? Well, from a very material point of view, that is logical. But if you talk about a spiritual point of view, then definitely that is not true. So sometimes we have to have that enlarged vision and understanding of what we are, who we are, what's the meaning and purpose of life, what is our destination. Then those teachings, whether it's Yama and Niyama and all those things, they will all fall in place. So let me get this screen back here. Where is it gone? And put some drawings up there. We'll start where we are, and it's good to work from there on. So the world that we live in is a world of, it's an ocean. Multiple layers are there. You have maybe come across that incident in the life of Swami Vivekananda's reminiscence of Swami Vivekananda. There's an incident about where his disciple Manmathanath Ganguly came to Swamiji one day in Belur Math, and Swamiji was in a very gracious mood. He asked him, ask me any question. It's very, very rare if you come across a Brahmagyani who offers says, ask me any question. And this man says, well, Swamiji, I have read your lectures on Maya. I couldn't make any head and tail out of it. Conceptually, I have tried to understand, but I still don't think that I have got a grip of it. So if you can please explain that to me. And Swamiji tried to dissuade him and say, well, ask me some other questions. And he said, no. If a Brahmagyani like you cannot remove this ignorance, like Nachiketa to Yamaraj also, then I think this particular subject will be a closed book to me for me in this life. So Swamiji said, okay, fine. So imagine Belur Math, they're both sitting on a bench, the Ganga river, mango trees and buildings are around. Swamiji starts explaining what is there. This young man is listening, understanding the meaning and all that. But he narrates in that, and you should read, that's very, very nice, and try to visualize that in your own mind. He says, while I was listening to Swamiji and following his meaning, I found that everything around me was beginning to vibrate. He said, just like when you have a big fire and you look over the fire and you see trees and things are vibrating, and everything was sort of vibrating. And he said, I was aware of my uncommon experience. It doesn't happen all the time. But I was still listening to Swamiji, and then he said, I felt a vibration in my own mind. And then the whole world disappeared, and I found that there was this ocean of consciousness in which Swamiji was one wave and I was another wave, and both of us were part of that universal consciousness. And he said, wow, this must be Maya. One moment this world was there, the next moment has disappeared, and in its place appeared some wonderful consciousness where the difference between Swamiji and me, that has also disappeared. We are all same. And he said, oh, this is Maya. And then he says that after some time he found his mind is coming back into this, partly into this self-identity in consciousness. And so he said, Swamiji, oh Swamiji, all this Naranarayan Seva, saving the poor, and this mission and everything that we found, that is also in Maya. And, in a sort of a challenging way. And then his mind came down to his own shell of the human body, and he says, Swamiji and I said, he am not the same being. There's a vast difference between two. And at that time, Swamiji realized that he has been grounded now. He says, yes, what you say is true, but I am playing with Maya. Just think about it, the power of Swami Vivekananda, where he could lift somebody's mind, give him that experience of a spiritual consciousness, bring him down, and when somebody says, I am playing with it, normally where would he be staying? We see Swami Vivekananda as a personal being, a great intellectual, orator, Vedanta teacher and all those things, but normally his mind would be at a very, very high level, isn't it? Then Swamiji says, and if you don't like this play, go into a mountain cave and immerse yourself in tapasya. If you want to have that experience also. The truth, I have given you a glimpse of it. But if you want to make it your own, you have to transform your body and mind into an instrument by which that type of the experience can be had. Alright, so wonderful idea. So, the foundation of morality and ethics is something, is to lay that strong, the purpose of morality and ethics to lay that strong foundation in which we can build our spiritual life. So this world is an ocean of matter, galaxies, solar systems, this earth, plants, animals, everything is matter, matter flowing through this from one form to the other, that which was in the plant is part of the human body to flow in. And we all are little bit whirlpools in which energy, matter is sucked in, spins for a while and goes out. So we say that is your material world, physical world. Behind this physical world is a world of energy, prana. Okay, and that energy is also flowing. It's an ocean of energy. Try to think in the sense of an ocean of energy. Close your eyes and visualize that in that. Okay, and in that ocean of energy which is in the sun is flowing through in various forms of light and heat, is becoming some animal, we call plant tissue in starch, and then we eat it, we release it by respiration, we get energy, we do certain things. It is a flow of energy in which our body and mind is a bundle in which it is for the time being caught. So we call that prana. Okay. And behind the prana is something mind. Mind is an ocean of ideas and thoughts, in which our mind is just one little whirlpool. We received ideas in that ocean, in that whirlpool of our mind, and we throw it out. I received it from books, from teachers, I'm spinning it out. In your receiving it, you think and churn it out. So our minds are like receivers and transmitters of ideas. Constantly we are catching, constantly we are releasing. No idea is really ours, but your mind is like your receiver that gets tuned to a particular idea when you catch it, anything. I had a flash, inspiration, I had a brilliant idea. You didn't create the idea, you just caught it because your mind at that time was tuned. But if it goes to a lower frequency, you get negative ideas. You take it to a higher level, you get the positive ideas. And that's why Sri Krishna, when he's trying to teach Arjuna about how to get himself out of that depressed state in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, raise your mind, do not lower yourself. If you can raise it, you are your own friend. If you bring it down, you become your own enemy. It's a wonderful psychology in there. So that is the mind. Then behind the mind there is something else, that's the intellect, the intelligence, which discriminates the different types of thoughts that are going in. You have different types of ideas. For example, if somebody comes around, you might have so many good ideas and bad ideas about it. But you don't go and babble out everything. That will be not so nice. You filter out what should I say and what I should not say. And those who are buddhiman, who are intelligent, can very selectively express. Others, it's all random and incoherent. So that intellect is there, bol buddhi. You following so far? Okay. And beyond that is consciousness. Here I have put you, drawn these various lines. Actually there are no border lines in there. It's all one continuum, but for the purpose of differentiation, because without definitions our mind can't work, we have put these layers. Just like this atmosphere doesn't have a line there called atmosphere and stratosphere and metasphere and all that, but we say so many kilometers is this and so many kilometers is there. So in that way we try to express this. And we are part of this whole thing. So if this is the first macrocosm, visualize here and now, behind this physical world is a subtle energy flowing through that. Pervades everything physical, but finer than that. And the finer one controls the crossover. And then behind that is a cosmic mind, the heart. All beautiful ideas and everything are there. That is even finer than the prana. Behind that is the intelligence, which is even finer and pervading everything. And ultimately, right at the core is just pure consciousness. Here and now, but on a different frequency, so to say. Just like in this place, there are so many TV channels. Okay, I switch on to station X, I get that particular music and particular presentation. I switch to another frequency, the first one disappears and the second one appears. And as I keep on changing the frequencies, one by one, they appear. But they all exist whether we experience them at the same time or not. So you experience the one according to the frequency you are tuned to. All these lokas, Bhur, Bhuva, Mahajana, Tapa and all that, Satyaloka, Brahmaloka are here and now. but our minds are just fixed in the gross physical plane, and all of us are similarly tuned, so we're all receiving the same station.
I want to ask, like, where would you put the soul here? Is like prana?
Okay, we'll
Physical
come to
could be
it.
the body, or
Well, what is the definition of soul?
is it consciousness?
Consciousness, or consciousness will be in the consciousness level. We'll come to that. So let's take that question. He's asking where the soul will be. We'll say, where are we in this ocean of multiple levels? How would I depict this in this drawing here? So we are a body, we are prana, we are mind, we are intellect, and some consciousness. And if I do something like this, okay, will that be something making some sense? We have physical, prana, and mind, and all that. Let's look.
Correspond to the Panchakosha.
Yeah, Panchakosha. But like, how would I try to say that we are all these 5 things, and I want to depict
Concentric circles.
concentric. So circle means where will the center be?
Soul.
Where?
Consciousness.
So circle here,
Center was consciousness.
like
the
this.
The gross physical body is outer. The outermost.
Gross physical will be the outer one or inner one?
Outer.
Outermost.
But you say the soul, the consciousness is all pervading.
The soul.
Gross physical body will be the innermost or outermost? Normally we think there is a soul inside us, somewhere deep inside there. When you draw a human body, then there's a spark there. But is that how it is? So soul is a small something inside the body, somewhere in the heart.
It doesn't have boundaries.
It doesn't have boundaries, so it should be infinite. So this one, and if I say, look, let's get
I
in.
don't think these shapes can capture this.
Well, what is there in multiple dimensions? We are trying to capture in 2 dimensions so that we can talk about it. Okay? I know, but we have to eventually relate it to the original as much as possible. At least some representation to help us understand that. But the representation is never the thing itself. So if we did it the other way, like this, okay, that means the open and the infinite is the consciousness up there, and it becomes more limited and materialized, grossified, so to say. It becomes intellect, more materialized becomes mind, energy, and ultimately it becomes the body. And our sense of real identity, our Atma nature is up there, but that comes down, and that's how you get your I sense, big I. The longer it is, the greater our I is. Okay? So let us explore this. So if this is your real I sense, the Paramatman, this is the variable I sense called the Jivatman, and it moves up and down. And according to the level it is, that's how we will talk to ourselves. So if I talk to you, who are you? You will give me the name that your mother and father gave you as a label. You tell me you're male or female, your age. Basically you're telling me everything about the body, but because you're identified, that's your identity. You might tell I'm healthy, I'm sick or tired, all that is talking about the prana. If you're talking at the mind level, then you might tell I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor. They're talking about how your mind has been trained, your experiences, all this. But you're not telling anything about me. You're telling I am this. I'm interested in that I only. So when you go to the intellect, you say I understand, I don't understand, I'm confused. But this is your real I, permanent, all the time, here and now. What has happened is, that is like a rubber band that I have stretched down here, and our experience is at a level where we have dragged down to. Alright, so in one birth, we are here. When we die, the physical part goes, physical body, but the other 2 bodies remain, the subtle body and the causal body. So when we die 1/3, 2/3 remain. And the whole idea of freedom is to die totally. Then you abide in your spiritual essence. But we don't want to die. Actually, we as a soul, we are a nobody. But everybody wants to be somebody. Isn't it? This is my identity, this is my CV, this is my date, biodata. The bigger it is, the greater we think we are. That is a problem. But we make it worse by saying my. Things of the world. So I and my, Ami, Amar, Sri Ramakrishna says, that is ignorance. The bigger the I, the more the I, mind thinks we are there, the more we are entangled in this world. whether it's your bank account, your car, your family, your children, your name, your fame, all the things that we possess, which makes us feel secure and great. But we think about it, do we possess them or are we possessed by them? And you find that you are possessed by them, just like the ghosts. They possess you and they trouble you endlessly, because whenever you possess something, it makes you feel good for a while, but we surrender our freedom to that thing. And any change to that thing begins to affect us. Yes?
So, you have given the experiences of intellect, mind, prana and physical, but you haven't given the experience of consciousness.
Okay.
So, consciousness is nothing but just a realization or tattvamasi, knowing thyself.
Yes, it's very difficult to explain in words what it is, because when you have that experience, the mind that experiences that consciousness itself disappears. That's why Sri Ramakrishna says that everything in this universe has been contaminated by man, by the tongue of man, because he had expressed it. The only thing that has not been polluted is Brahman, because the mind itself disappears. So the process, they will say, you can't say it is this, it is this, it is this. You go by the negative process of negation. It's not this, it's not this. What you are left with, that is, it's not a zero, not a shunya, but it is a foundation out of which everything is.
The other layers are fluctuating and they are in vibration, but consciousness is still, like, it remains like a rock.
Consciousness is a foundation of a higher frequency, so to say. You will see there's an explanation of Swami Vivekananda.
So
he
does
says,
it have vibration or it remains still?
when you say vibration, is the experience of the vibration or the vibration itself? You see, what we experience and what the thing itself is are two different things. For example, if you look at a tree and say this a leaf is green, alright? So if you know from physics, white light falls on that leaf, all the frequencies are absorbed except the green one, which bounces back to your eyes, and you say there's a green leaf. Now, if there's water and I put another drop of water, if it mixes with it and becomes one with it, then I say they are both the same substance. If I have water and I put oil in that, oil floats and we say they are two different things. So when we say white light falls there, if it were green, then green light would be absorbed with it, isn't it? But it bounces back. So it is anything but green, but how we talk about it is how the experience is opposite of what it is. So if we say what we experience, when we experience something, is a difference that we experience. Okay, so if you got a voltage, say 240, a potential difference that we experience. So if there's a very high frequency and our mind is at a lower frequency, what we experience is the difference in the frequency. But if you pitch your mind higher and higher vibration, just like I told the story about Swamiji raising his mind and the vibrations were becoming higher and higher. But when it disappeared, that means your mind was resonating at the same frequency as that Supreme. So it was at a higher frequency, but now it is synchronized with it. Those who are electrical engineers will know how you synchronize to waveforms. So we don't experience a little bit of science in there, as much as we can explain in terms of, we can say.
So the state of Satchitananda is intellect, comes under intellect or consciousness?
Intellect is a grosser manifestation of that. It's beyond that. Okay, in intellect, your discrimination, your eye sense still there. Okay, it transcends even that. The thing is, right now we are packed down here at the gross level, and they are holding us down. You're trying to have a hot air balloon, you want to rise, isn't it? So you put in the hot gas and it wants to rise, but you're not making any move because all the ropes still are holding you down. You have to cut them up, and that's renunciation. Then this mind begins to rise itself. As you go higher and higher, then all the differences between the small grass and the big tree begins to disappear. And ultimately from 5 kilometers, everything looks same. And in that high altitude, you have a totally different vision, experience of the whole thing. Okay. Now, you want to ask a question? Yes.
So then, Maharaj,
what, like here and now, what we're experiencing in our life, is it really happening or not happening?
I say it has already happened. In another plane, it's happening here now. So when Sri Krishna gave the experience to Arjuna, he gave him this divine vision. In that divine vision, he showed that all the great warriors had been killed and everything. Then he brings down his mind and say, now you go and kill them and take the credit and enjoy the world. But really, I have killed them already. So you see, what we experience in this lower plane is happening for us now. But when you go to another plane, it has already happened. The movie has been recorded. Okay, somebody you can fast forward and see it. But we are going snap by snap by. Okay, so those who can go to that level and have access to that, Sri Ramakrishna says, I will be born in 100 years or something. I can see how each one will make the spiritual progress and all that. He can see the past, he can see the future, because at that higher plane, he can read it. But at this lower plane, that has not happened. The concept of time is a wonderful thing. 100 years of human life, 1,000 Sahasra Yug Parentam, 1,000 yugas, and one yuga is 430,000 human years is one day of Brahma. And he lives for 100 years. And 100 years of Brahma's life is one day of Vishnu. What they are trying to say is that different levels of consciousness, that which is stretched out as infinity, is in a second another one. And when you go up to the higher planes of consciousness, when you go into Brahman, that everything has happened in the infinite present. But when you come down here, it is a long term. So when they report something that have experienced up there, we say they are prophetic, they know. But it's all about lifting the mind up and accessing the truth. That's another interesting concept of time, how it's experienced. Experiment with it and experience it. It's there for experiencing and trying it out. So, I'm trying to come back to the topic of Vedanta and ethics and morality. So this I and mine.
Science of them reading Janam Patris and all, and they tell you this is going to happen. That means it has already happened.
Oh, you have to ask those astrologers. That is area. Okay. Yeah, that's another topic that will take us in another path. Let's stick to this for the time being. So, in any spiritual topic, they say unselfishness is a spiritual virtue. Okay? Morality. Swamiji says unselfishness God. Less and less of I. So, how we can see from this drawing? That is, this Atman is our spiritual nature upon top. We have pulled it down into this material world, anchored it, and that is our sense of identity, and we want to remain there. And so long we remain there, that false is, this is the apparent man. Swamiji's lecture is there, the real and the apparent man. The real man is the Atman, the apparent man is the man, this fellow down on the ground, identified with this body-mind complex. So, when we say unselfishness is God, that means the I has been totally immersed in this. But more selfishness we have by appropriating things and holding things to ourselves, the more we tie ourselves down to this little individuality and imprison ourselves in this body-mind and deny ourselves our true infinite nature. And that's why they say, be unselfish. Because that way we free ourselves from this bound state. Make sense? There, they say kindness is there, compassion is there. Be kind and compassionate. Why? Because the other person that you see around there, okay, we are connected and one with them at a spiritual level. We are same. Different waves in the same ocean. Imagine a vast ocean. We live near the Pacific Ocean. There are thousands and millions of waves there. What you experience depends on where you are. If you are out on the beach, you see thousands of waves. Each wave is different from the other. Tall, short, small, all those. But when you do a little bit of snorkeling, you put on the snorkeling gear and you're swimming at the same level as the waves, one moment you're down, next moment you're up, you find that all the waves are made out of the same water. As waveform they are different, but as a substance inside the wave, they are the same. So you say, there is something common, and its names and forms are different. But if you learn a little bit better art of scuba diving, you put on the oxygen tank and you dive deep into the ocean, then you find that's all pure water, calm and quiet. You experience the same thing, but your experience differs depending where you are. So Swami Vivekananda says, Maya is a statement of fact of what you experience from what your position is. If you are outside, then you see the world of duality. Everyone is different, and you see the external forms, is white, is black, is Chinese, and Hindu, or Muslim, or Christian. That is the outside form we are seeing. And if we see only that, then this competition, fighting, struggle, and all that happens because we see the differences only. When we become a little bit more enlightened, then we say we are all belonging to the same family called humanity. We are all human beings. Okay, let's assert that humanity. So United Nations, United World, everything at a universal level we try to do, and we reach out and help and save and care for, because we know behind the many is the one. And when we dive deep inside, then we say, really there is only one ocean. It appears as many waves. The waves can appear and disappear. There might be one wave, there might be 1 billion waves. It does not make a difference. The ocean alone is the reality. The waves are names and forms superimposed on that. So when great sages dive deep within themselves, they come across that one behind the many. And they say, that is the highest truth. Don't be stuck with these names and forms, but dive deep within yourself and you'll find that you are the ocean itself. Imagine you tell that to a wave. Don't hang around in that wave nature, struggling to survive somewhere, one moment on top, next moment you're down. Give that up. And he says, this is what I am. I want to survive because I do not know that there's an ocean. You're trying to tell me to renounce this world. At least I have this. If I lose this, God knows anything is there or not. So people cling on to whatever they think to be real. But some people might say, I've been thrashed around enough on the top of the ocean, let me give this up and have faith in the teachings. So he either takes the path of knowledge and says, this ocean, this wave thing is all not worth it. Really I'm the ocean. And he says, I'm the Supreme Being, Tadananda Rupo, Shivoham, Shivoham. That would be the path of knowledge. The path of bhakti would be, this little wave says that I exist because the ocean exists. Without that, I don't have an existence. Let me merge myself in the ocean. So he becomes a devotee. God is the Supreme Being, the Lord of the universe. I am his child or whatever. And he tries to reduce his ego by surrendering himself more and more until he merges it into the ocean. And what happens to him? The wave becomes zero, or does the wave become infinite? Again it becomes infinite. That is the path of bhakti. And so with drawings I'm trying to explain. So that would be the understanding little bit of about the Vedantic concepts when they say renounce. Renunciation alone is the path to liberation. You might say, my God, if I renounce, then whatever I've worked so hard as a student and as a human being, and you are asking me to give that up. Risky, isn't it? At least whether I will realize God or not, but at least this world is there, let me enjoy this. But renunciation is not a negative idea. You are all renouncing all the time. It's a positive idea. It means giving up of the lesser, less important, less valuable, less significant in exchange for something higher. And you are doing it all the time. You got your first job as a petty clerk or something like that, and somebody came and offered you a slightly better paying job, and he says, thank you very much boss, I am going. Why, I got something better. You did not cry. But if you didn't have the second job and your boss fired you, then you are all miserable because I have lost it. So we always give up of something less significant in exchange for something higher. Agreed? All the time, very happily, readily. If you have, I say, in a more funny way, somebody gave you a bicycle. You have prized bicycle as a birthday. Somebody asks, can I have it? You say, no way, this is mine. But another person comes and says, I'll give you a motorcycle. Will you give me a bicycle? He says, please take it away. This motorcycle is more valuable. I want it. I'm happy to. Somebody comes and says, I'll give you a car. Will you give me a motorcycle? Your aeroplane or whatever. Each time you get something better, you are ready to renounce something lower. So when you understand that this world is something inferior compared to what is behind, and that conviction is very, very strong, and you want to get it because everyone wants the best for themselves, then he or she might make that brave, bold step and say, I'm ready to toss it, take a gamble, and say, let me see if I can in this life achieve something which is better. So renunciation is not a negative idea, it's a positive idea. It's a more enlightened understanding of the world, and then you put your time and effort to that. Otherwise, if somebody renounces, then people will say that young man, well educated and all those things, what has long gone wrong in his head? He met that Swamiji or read that book and something has gone wrong. He has given all this wonderful that life was offering him. But the other man turns around, he says, look at them. He thinks, they are, each one thinks the other one is, each one thinks he's smarter according to our understanding. But as we improve our education about the reality, then you'll find that you will aspire for something higher, in a natural way. So renunciation doesn't mean that you run away and leave the world. For householders, Sri Ramakrishna said you must renounce mentally. And for sadhus, monks, both mentally and physically, but all of them must give up something lower in exchange for something higher. You can't be on the ground floor and be at the 7th floor also. You have to give up these ones, then only you have access to the higher ones. So that is a spiritual discipline all the time. Be not attached to things. Those things that are tying you down, holding you down, you have to disconnect yourself mentally. They don't belong to you. Whether money or name or fame or power or position or children or anything material. Even this body doesn't belong to you. You give it willingly, your attachment, or it will be taken away from you, crying and jumping, and when we die and you do not know what's beyond that. So that is that idea of renunciation as a spiritual discipline. Compassion, kindness. Why should I be kind to somebody? Why should I be compassionate to somebody? Because at the core of it, we are one. That oneness that is behind the many is trying to assert itself at a lower level, and that comes out as love for people and things. Otherwise, why would you love somebody? Deep within, we are all one. That's why the Holy Mother, as her last teaching says, if you want peace of mind, my child, learn to make the whole world your own. The whole world is your own. No one is a stranger. She's talking about this world here, that behind everything we are that one ocean. We are not different waves. Try to see the oneness of the ocean behind the waves. That way, when you practice that kindness and compassion and love, you are trying to lift your mind from the manifold to the one behind. And that's why it becomes a spiritual discipline. But it should not be simply some idea in your head, I'm nice, I should be loving and caring. It has to translate in your thought and word and deed. And that's why this wonderful idea of service is there. My neighbor is there and we are saying, but the neighbor doesn't have food and I have. Intellectually understand we are the same Brahman, but can that be translated into action? Where do you reach out and give something to him? You will find that the best way to be happy, and everyone wants to be happy, and they think that by having more of things they become happier, but the philosophy, the understanding is different. The best way to be happy is to make others happy. As you reach out, expansion is life. As you reach out to more people and make them more and more your own heart expands, and you feel that oneness within. That joy, that exercise of reaching out and helping and serving, not out of pity, here poor man, here's something, say thank you to me. But no, I'm trying to put into practice that idea that the one who is inside me is inside in every one of them. If I feed through this mouth, I can feed through the other mouth. I'm going to put that into practice. Only then I know that whatever I believe in and my thoughts and words and deeds are all telling up. So sometimes you have to push yourself a little bit. And when you do that, you find a great sense of joy and contentment. What has happened? Your own heart has expanded. and that night you sleep well, and say, that was a nice thing. And that's why Swamiji says, if in this hell of a world we can bring out a smile, even in a single person, even for a day, that much alone is true, all else is moonshine. That means this philosophy of Vedanta that we understand, that we are all part of that all one ocean. That ocean is what we call Sri Ramakrishna or Christ or Ishvara or Brahman. We are different waves. If I want to have that experience, I have to transcend the differences. And it has to be done not as a philosophy in our head, but in our thought, our word, our deed. The more we do, the greater you will feel that ultimately the Buddha was one who was prepared to sacrifice his whole body for even an animal, isn't it? Such was his identification of that oneness. So, did we get some idea about the basis of the rationality, why we have to be morally and ethically strong? So, let me illustrate with another example. Because truthfulness, you say, like I started with, somebody who is not very honest and upright, and you find they are having a great time. Those who are very, very honest in every thought, word and deed, they don't do very well materially in this world. So after some time you begin to doubt, is that really true? So let me illustrate that. Try to keep this in mind, it might help you in your spiritual life, work life also. Sri Ramakrishna had a disciple, Rakhal, Swami Brahmananda. He came to him when he was a little young boy. His hot favorite, you might say, Manasputra. And Rakhal would spend some time in Dakshineshwar with Sri Ramakrishna. One day he looked at the boy and says, what have you done? I see there's a cloud of ignorance covering your face. And the boy tries to think, I've not done anything wrong. I stay with him all the time, and with my few friends here. Then Sri Ramakrishna asks him, did you tell a lie or something? So he tries to think and remember. He said, not really. But the other day I was talking with my friends and I said, people said that white lie, there was somebody, make up a story and all that, and said something like that. And he said, I did that only, no big deal. And Sri Ramakrishna says, no, don't tell a lie even as in a joke. You know, he was lucky that he had a yogi as a spiritual teacher who could see beyond his body and mind, and the effect of telling a lie even as a joke. What was the effect? There's a cloud of ignorance that covers his spiritual mind. Okay. And in life you see, people not tell one lie. They'll tell a whole sequence of them and defend each other, and becomes a habit. And you imagine how many layers they're putting, and no wonder that the light inside there gets totally covered, that they have no idea about it. So when we look at that, why should we practice truthfulness? Satyam eva jayate. It makes sense if you're a spiritual aspirant that all those things I'm doing, japa, meditation, it is there to remove these coverings on my soul, these lower levels, the pancha forces, I want to remove them. But due to our ignorance, or due to our weakness or temptation, we are doing the exact opposite in the name of business and making money, whatever. So on one side we are trying to go towards east, which is self-realization. In our actions we are trying to go in the opposite direction, and we neutralize all those good deeds that's come. So if you have a very strong conviction that when we make a compromise by flaunting some of these spiritual principles, then we punish ourselves. You see, he told a lie. Suppose somebody tells a lie and tells many lies. Other people say when he dies, he will go to some place and there they will look up his text, this record book, and if he's got 51%, he goes to heaven. If he's got 49%, he's roasted in hell, or something like that. Heaven and hell, all the stories. The punishment is not when you die. The punishment is instantaneous. Ramakrishna could see there and then that effect happening, which is covering his divine nature. We are trying to manifest this highest level, infinite existence, knowledge, bliss. That is Akhanda Satchidananda. That's our beauty, purity, that's the nature of the Atman. But in our ignorance, if we do something opposite that covers it, that is, we are doing the opposite of what we are aiming to do in terms of self-realization. So, Morality and ethics in Vedanta try to explain those things to us so that we make enlightened decisions in light of the bigger picture of self-realization. But if you don't have that higher goal of self-realization, and this world is there for you to enjoy and to make money by hook or by crook, then for those people, they will flaunt those higher laws and get something which will again slip out of their hands anyway. So that's why all great teachers put a great emphasis on moral and ethics. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, non-violence, truthfulness, and all those Saucha, Santosha, Tapaswadhyaya, Ishwar Pranidhana. So these are the 10 vows which are called the Mahavratas, great vows to be practiced, not when you are in the temple and church only, on Saturday or Friday or Wednesday, but it is to be practiced at all times, in all places, in your workplace and everything. Let your whole life be established on that firm foundation of solid moral and ethical values, and you'll find that then you build your big 7-story building on a strong platform. Otherwise, you'll find that you're doing all the japa, you're doing all the meditation, but nothing is happening because that power is getting dissipated. Okay, so that's a foundation, solid foundation on which spiritual life is built, and that is in all spiritual paths, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity. Yes.
So, as you told Maharaj that the honesty, truthfulness is very important, absolutely. But you also mentioned that in the real world, people will be crushed if they are honest and if they do not know how to, But say still they practice honesty, they practice truthfulness. But because they are being crushed again and again and again, they develop a lot of bitterness towards the outer world. So they are practicing one great thing, but they are inviting one very negative thing. Bitterness is not a good thing to have with you, man. It doesn't expand your heart. So what would be a practical process to execute?
When you say bitterness towards what?
Bitterness towards, it could be a situation, it could be towards a person, like I told the truth in this situation, but that person took advantage of the truth, and in normal
Yes,
world,
yes,
right?
yes.
And
So you lose out a little bit in this world, alright? Materially or friendship or opportunity or something that could have come your way because you stuck to the path of truthfulness. But in your heart of hearts, you know that this is spiritually good for me. See, Sri Ramakrishna says in this age, Kali Yuga, truthfulness is the tapasya. Tapasya means fire, heat. If it were so easy, then it won't be a tapasya. Tapasya in the olden days, people would go in the mountain caves and practice meditation and all those type of things. It comes from the word tapa, heat. We need to go in through that blast furnace. That's where the gold is going to be separated from the rocks and soil. And if you follow that and ready to go through this, then that purification happens. But if you want to sidestep it and manage it, then we will miss that opportunity. So, if a person is very, very sincere about his spiritual goal, then he says, that is more important. I am ready to miss out some things in this world. Okay, but I am not going to compromise my spiritual goal. But Sri Ramakrishna says, those who hold on to truth sit in the lap of God. You have to have faith in Him. He will test you out. You read all the Puranas and stories of those few people who stuck to any of these wonderful spiritual things. They have it tested in so many ways. Okay, only then they qualify for and prove themselves fit to receive that knowledge. That knowledge is there, but you need to go through this blast furnace of this world where this purification of the mind takes place.
And if Maharaj, the bitterness comes, then what should I do?
Bitterness comes, then you say, well, look, if you should feel sorry for those people who through that ignorance, without that knowledge, are really entangled in this. Okay? And yes, maybe you can't influence them, can't change them. Maybe if it's overpowering, you remove yourself from that place, be in an environment where it's conducive to you. Or you make yourself so strong that others will not affect you. We can't. Well, that we discussed in the morning. Topic today is about how do you, the power is within you, isn't it? It's not outside. If I ask you to make yourself physically strong, what will you do? You go to the gymnasium and do a lot of exercises. You come out very tired, isn't it? You didn't become strong. No, you have to eat some good food, do plenty of exercises, not one day, over a period of time when you see your muscles are coming, not from outside, from within. So exercises are necessary to bring forth that energy. Alright? And likewise, whether we want to become physically strong, morally strong, ethically strong, spiritually strong, we have to have that food, like to become intellectually strong, all the knowledge that is given is food for the mind. You do learn, go through the discipline, and you got this exercise books, and you've got these exercises at the end of a chapter, and you do that sincerely, you develop that mental capacity to grapple with complex ideas, you become intellectually strong. Spiritual discipline, again, spiritual food is the spiritual knowledge that is there. Spiritual exercises are japa, meditation, seva. You do that over time, you become spiritually strong. Morally and ethically, life will throw all types of challenges and temptations. You take a position that I am not going to be tempted, or I'll hold on to the path of truthfulness. That itself becomes a tapasya now. And as you practice that, the inner fire that is within will ignite. So friction is necessary. Okay, and the law of gravity is pulling things down. You lift your dumbbell upward, and that repeatedly begins to manifest that power. So life will throw those challenges, but if you look at them as problems, that's one thing. But if you look at them as opportunities for you to do your exercises, change the whole outlook, afterwards you will be thankful. Okay, that's why Swamiji says this world is a gymnasium where we come to do exercises to become strong. Strength is life, weakness is death. We need this world, which is perfectly made for the purpose it was designed for. It's there to give us plenty of exercises. It might be coming in the form of beatings and all tough times, but those sufferings are not a problem. That's why Holy Mother says suffering is a sign of God's compassion. Okay, this fire in a piece of wood, just by saying this light and heat is in a piece of wood, doesn't bring it out. You have to take two pieces together, keep on rubbing, and it will ignite. Likewise, there is divine consciousness in everyone, but you require the tapasya to manifest. So, if we look at this whole world as a gymnasium, where all types of problems are coming, challenges are coming in terms of your relationships, your family, your wife, your husband, your neighbor, your boss. You're trying to go in that path of righteousness, they're trying to hang you and drag you down the other way. We have this tug of war. Take that as an exercise. Have the faith that within you, you have the power to transform them. And I'm going to do that exercise to strengthen myself. So thank you very much for giving my problem. And I have utilized it to my positive, to my advantage. Then we see how we look at a problem. Otherwise, we start blaming the people. There's a terrible person, he has said something, that boss is not a nice person, and we blame them. But if we look subjectively, all he has exposed to me and given me a feedback that how weak I am, that he will say a word and I will fall down. Thank you for showing that to me. I am going to do something about it. I am going to make myself so strong that I won't be affected by things outside. So it's all about, Vedanta is about a subjective change that we'll make in ourselves. And that power is inside us. We need that discipline, that exercise to manifest it. And the world is going to give you plenty of them. And as we go through this journey of life from birth, youth, adult, we should not simply go in a horizontal plane, but we should try to raise your mind and have a glimpse and a taste of that spiritual. And in that process, the moral and ethical disciplines are the foundation. So did I get a little bit across? These are very interesting topics that we can spend a whole day discussing and diving, and a lot of understanding will come. But in general, some idea where to look for. The solution is inside us, not outside there. Don't blame anyone. Okay? rather than put yourself in a situation, just like when you go to the gymnasium. You don't go and say that was very painful, I'm not going to go there again, that dumbbell was overweight or whatever, that instructor was not nice, unkind man. You say, you go to him again and again because you know that pain will bring out the strength.
So if in the past, you were ignorant and you told lies and hurt others, then how do you kind of atone for that, or how do you make up for that?
Okay, that will come as a karma, prarabdha karma. Okay, but you can reduce the thing. And mother says, japa and meditation, all these things, reduce the intensity of the suffering that's going to come. Instead of getting a big cut, you get a pinprick. You'll get that, but that is quite bearable. So doing intense spiritual sadhana is not only spiritually beneficial, but it reduces the suffering that's the quanta of it that's supposed to come in this life to much lower. So spiritual discipline is physically beneficial also. Just a peace of mind and other things.
So you are modifying the gunas also, I mean, if you look at it
Yes,
through all this.
everything from the physical body plane right up to intellect is made of the three gunas. And when it gets purified, then it's more sattva. When it is opposite, then it becomes more tamas. When more tamas means less light will shine through. It's the same power flowing through all of them. Just like in this room, this is America, so it's 120 volts. We are used to 240 volts there. Same voltage is there, but the manifestation of that light in a 40 watt bulb or 60 watt bulb or 100 watt bulb is different. It's not that the power is different, but according to the capacity to manifest. So through sadhana, if you purify your mind, then you'll find all the Devi Sampatti, the divine qualities listed in the Bhagavad Gita, kindness, compassion, knowledge, vivek, vairagya, all that will begin to shine. And you see that shining in it, all the glory in a personality of a Buddha and Christ and Ramakrishna. In us, the same voltage is there, but maybe we have got a small bulb. How do we transform this body-mind complex? Through spiritual discipline, so there's a greater manifestation. Ultimately, we transcend this whole body, human experience, and be the ocean that we really are. All of us, here and now. But we are sort of tied down to this body-mind complex. And that is because the great player, the master, wants to play us with us in that way. If you don't like the play, complain to him. And that's what he says, this Maya of mine is divine. It is made of the three gunas, very difficult to transcend. But those who surrender unto me, I open the door and let them through. So you can put yourself effort up to some time, then you find that it's not going to happen. The bird flies to the left and the right and east and west, ultimately it surrenders to the divine and say, let this boat take me wherever it is. So behind this whole universe is that cosmic consciousness. We call him the Divine Mother or the Divine Mother or whatever. At some point, we have to understand that my very existence is because of I exist. Some people will, so I'll stop with this little story, but you think very deeply on this. Someone went to Sri Ramakrishna and said, why is there so much suffering in this world? Anyone else could have said, oh, as you sow, so you reap, you must have done all these things in your previous lifetime, your karma is there, you have to copy it and all that. Sri Ramakrishna didn't give that answer. He says, it's all God's play. That is not an explanation. We have stepped aside of the question. So he said, okay, if that is God's play and He has created all this world and this misery and suffering and all these things, but if He is having fun, He is playing, why should I suffer? It's a perfectly logical question, So He is holding His own ground as I'm an individual and God is there, we are two different beings, and He is having fun and I am suffering and it doesn't make sense, for whatever reason. So he asks him the question. If he's having fun, he's playing, why should I suffer? Then Sri Ramakrishna lifts that to another level, Advaita level, and asks him, who are you? But who are you? It's all He. We do not exist. We exist separately in only our ignorance. Just like the wave exists only in its ignorance, separate from the ocean. Really, only the ocean exists. And these names and forms appear. So long we hold on to that, we are limited, we are finite, there's little knowledge, little happiness, due to existence. And when we don't want that limitations, then we merge into the ocean. How do we merge into that? That is the path of surrender and path of knowledge and sacrifice, and all the 4 yogas are there. And life is an opportunity to pitch for that. Not just to continue in this world happy and successful and all those things. Depends on what you want call success. Success means making a lot of money, or success means realizing your truth, the truth of your nature. So we have to set the goals right first in an enlightened way. Get our priorities right. What is the most important, valuable thing that I want? What are you ready to sacrifice in exchange for what? Once those things are sorted out, and you've got the needle of your compass set to the north of self-realization, God realization in this life, somehow or the other I'm going to give my best shot at it, and leave the rest to the one who is the director behind the whole show. Okay.
So yeah, general question. So we these days we see many religions, many books, and many doctrines, and many dharmas. So the even the religion is also getting updated and upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your suggestion? Like better stick to one principle, one dharma, and practice it to entire like whole your life, or just keep on searching for better things.
Do your window shopping, or you will not find the truth outside there. You will not even find God out there, because it's inside. All this teaching can help in the direction. Whichever one helps you is the one for you. Alright, according to your constitution and need. But if you jump from here to there all over the place, you will not get any water. Sri Ramakrishna says, if you want to dig a well, and you dig in one place, after some time you strike some stones and rocks, then you say, oh, this is very difficult, let me dig another place. And then you do the same thing, and you'll get a yard of a lot of holes and no water at the end of the day. So those who go around this window shopping and trying this and that, they don't get anything. Have patience, have perseverance, and keep on hammering through, because something has to open and the light that's within has to shine through. Religions and all those paths that have been given by different teachers, many ways are there, but the truth is within you. The truth is you only. Have faith in that and work on that. Did I make some sense? Okay, but you have to think a little bit more deeply and say kindness, compassion and everything.
Okay, thank you very much, Tadananda ji, for your beautiful, sensible lecture. I know the topic is very difficult, and it is more difficult to present this topic in all this high-tech community. I know that, but yes, what he said, he presented it in very, very scientific and logical way, which makes some sense. But the point is that everyone, we need some patience to search, to think very calm and quietly. We have some habits, Now, how many years we are listening all these things? Probably 1 year, probably 2 years. But from our childhood, we have already developed some kind of samskaras. I have already developed some kind of notion. So it is very, very difficult to get rid of this notion in one shot. It is only blessing or grace can remove these samskaras, but otherwise we have to work out on it. So keep patience, and all these things are proved, and because the Indian philosophy is the age-old philosophy, and everything is proved, tested, and thousands of people, they have realized through this path. So all what he is, he has already told, it is nothing of him. Everything from the scripture. It is age-old, tested process. So believe on it, pursue it, and patience. That is very, very important thing. So go ahead and you can get, again it's Ramakrishna's story, the woodcutter. So it is the first you can get a simple kind of wood jungle. Then if you proceed more, then you can get the sandalwood forest. Then again proceed more, you can get one after another some gold mines, some diamond mines, so many things you can get. So we have to proceed. It is not easy matter, but yes, it is not that it is not achievable. It is achievable. That is the great thing. It is not easy, but it is achievable. The point is that the intellectuals, they want to get the information. We think information is the achievement. Information is not the achievement. Information temporarily can satisfy you, but we have to proceed, internalize that information to make it wisdom. So we have to proceed those information, we have to practice those information, we have to nurture those information, we have to become one with that information. So that's the most important thing what we have to do. Thank you very much, Tadananda ji, for your beautiful talk, and thank you all for coming here, giving time, and listen to this beautiful lecture.